My name is Aaron Beck and I'm the audio system designer here for Bluecoats. So as the audio system designer, I'm responsible for working with the team to create the overall concept kind of for where we place loudspeakers, where we place amplification, and kind of how all of the tools, electronic tools, go together to help support what the music team wants to put together on the field. So I've been with the team since 2015, and over the course of the last 6-7 years, I think we've really kind of honed in on our process here at Bluecoats. So we're now about a week in to spring training. So during the first week, the audio team, consisting of Colton and Marcus, and the team kind of shows up because every year it is a little bit of kind of starting from scratch. The equipment gets stored in trailers, or we have rental equipment for the summer. So it takes them about a week to kind of put everything together and get it to a place that I can come in and really kind of start to test it all and to do the specific tests to get the system kind of optimized. So when I start, we look specifically at just the loudspeakers and tuning of those loudspeakers for kind of the summer. So that takes a good block to be able to go through. We check each speaker individually and make sure that everything's functioning up to spec. Once we have the system kind of dialed in where we like it, then we add the front ensemble and try to look at, really the acoustic side of things first. So we'll blend and balance marimba to vibes and drum set and add those components in, kind of creating the audio system with the pit. So we completed those 2 items yesterday, kind of feel good about where things are. And then we start to add kind of the additional flavors and toys. So wireless mics for soloists, synths, samples, effects, any of those things kind of are the last part that we put together. So usually takes me 3 or 4 days on my first visit in after a week to kind of get the system up and functioning, to kind of hand over to the guys and to the team so they can start to balance and blend and put the show together as we start running bigger and bigger chunks.
I'm Colton Heyton. I am the lead audio engineer and I mix front of house here at the Bluecoats. My responsibilities, I have a wide variety of responsibilities. Everything kind of starts about 4 days after finals the previous year. So I work with Aaron in the design process of all the technical stuff that's in the racks. We make sure that everything fits and works. I'm kind of involved in that while he's looking at loudspeaker systems, figuring out how to make coverage as even as possible for the Bluecoats. I am the person in between the core and the audience, and I try to make that connection as easy as possible. We spend a lot of time making sure that everything sounds as natural as possible. I take a lot of pride in that how I mix and set up the system is there's no barrier in between what we do, even though we're miking a bunch of people. We've got a lot of mics on the field, and I don't want it to sound synthetic. Yeah, so we take about a week to build all the gear and set everything up, cable everything while we're here at move-ins. The process really starts about 3 months before that in my garage. I kind of unload everything and start building it and get all that going. Once we get here, we've kind of got all the pieces of the puzzle so we can put that together. I use the Roland Desk. We use a lot of channels here at the Bluecoats, so we're actually pretty conservative this year. We're not using as many as normal. We're at about 90 input channels and 32 outputs. This desk can handle that. I've got stage boxes kind of everywhere, taking in inputs. So that's really cool. This allows me to have a great workflow and move around really quickly, get to what I need. This is not the best mixing position for front of house, so I rely a lot on an in-ear mix. We spend a lot of time figuring out exactly what the speakers sound like in the optimal position, and then I really dial that into my personal ear mix, so I'm wearing ears a lot of the time, and we go from there. Then I've got my Lake loudspeaker system manager. That's awesome. It allows me to put all my filtering in, and it's pretty versatile because we can take inputs from other people if we needed. It's funny, we've been to drum corps shows where the PA has been terrible, so they've actually used our PA to do like the ending announcements and everything when we go on. So that's kind of funny, rolling in like that. But
Brian Belcher, work with the audio team, help tune the PA, help Aaron with any design needs, help Colton with anything he might need. Last night we really verification of system. Colton did a great job in having the system prepped. Aaron's done a great job in making sure it's designed correctly. We did a little proof of concept on a couple of new speakers, and today what we're here to do is actually tune the system. Simply, we're trying to give the best possible sound to every person in the audience, or at least try to, the best way we can given the budget.
for wireless, we got a lot going on. We're at about 40 channels of wireless this year, spread out among soloists, horns, even snare drums. You'll see doing some snare drum vocoder stuff, so that's going to be really cool. Yeah, everything's managed. We use pretty much all Shure. Everything's managed through Wireless Workbench, all the rechargeables because we're saving the environment. It's awesome. And then everything's networked together so we can have complete control over it. Huge shout out to Frequency Coordination Group. That's where we got all the wireless this year. So they really help us out in our various needs as it changes from year to year and what we're actually doing wirelessly. So this is another thing that I spend a lot of time on. These are basically playback rigs, but they're live playback rigs. So there's a performer here playing. We've got fully redundant systems, 2 separate Macs, 2 separate interfaces, and A/B switches. So if any computer issues arise, we can switch over really quick. We also got these really awesome new Cat 5 snakes this year that we're using from EMG Group. They build amazing stuff. We got that all customized, so we've fully switched away. Mod snakes are kind of like the big deal in the marching world. They're not good. They cause all kinds of issues, so we've moved away from that. We're using Cat 5. That's kind of a better infrastructure for us, and everything's much easier to use. So yeah, loudspeaker wise, we're using all RCF between HDL20s and HDL6s. We've also got these guys that we're testing from Rankus Hines. They are vertical steering arrays, so we can control those in the software. We can do an infill, so we get very smooth coverage all throughout what's on the field, and then even steer up to cover the first couple of rows in the middle, which always they don't get the coverage that they deserve usually. So this is going to help us do that. We can vertically steer in the software, and it'll take care of a lot of those issues that come up. Also, huge thanks to PI, Pageantry Innovations. They build a lot of custom stuff for us. We have a lot of crazy demands from them, and they always rise to the occasion and figure stuff out for us, even if it's not possible, and they look at us like we're crazy. But they figure it out in the end. So we couldn't come out and do this activity and roll on as fast as we do without Pageantry Innovations. They do a great job. This is kind of like our system for keeping up with microphones, very theatrical based. Everybody has to turn in their microphone here. Wireless mic belts is one of our sponsors. They're awesome. They make great little pouches that will actually go around the horns, and everything lives on the horn so that the players are completely mobile. They can put that down, go run and do all the dancing and everything that they need to do. And so wireless mic belts is really great. They allow us to clip on and not have to have our sewing team build 1,000 different wraparounds and elastic. They make a great product. So these are the other side of the EMG snakes. Basically, it's a Cat 5 box that converts, it's an analog snake that converts 4 channels of XLR over one single Cat 5 line. So it goes back to our stage boxes that are on each side of the pit. Gives us 4 channels on each board. That way, we can mic up everything. We don't do any daisy chaining or anything like that. That usually causes issues. We have to run way more cable than we would really need. Also, we use pretty much all dynamic mics in the pit. There's a couple of condensers in a couple of different places, but find that dynamic is a much better place to start in this environment because it changes so much. So dynamic is a little bit easier to work with as we're tuning, as we move from place to place. And yeah, it's much easier to manage. Game before feedback is much more controllable in this environment with that. So, shock mounts, windscreens, there you go.